Ciao, today I will be cooking a courgette or a zucchini and a potato, and they will be stuffed in the oven with ricotta and spinach and chard and some beautiful button mushrooms. I'm cooking for two people again, Julie and I, and I'm now removing the middle part of a potato, and I'm going in with this is a paring knife, and I'm just slicing it through the edges, and I'm making it some incisions so that the middle come out. Very, very simple really. I'll show you again here with the other half. So I'm going in on an angle, and I'm going around with my paring knife. I'm leaving about 1 centimeter from the edge, going around, and then you may be able to just, I will do a cross in here, and one on the other side, and just by applying a little pressure, it should come out. Oops. Perfect. And if you want to remove some more, by all means, go back in and chop some more. I will do that as I need a nice big cavity so that I can put lots of filling. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay, I've got an oven tray lined up with some paper. I'll put my potatoes in there and I sprinkle a little olive oil on each half. I'll go in with a brush and make sure that the entire surface is covered by oil. Turn them around and I'll do the underneath as well. And while I'm at it, I'll put a little salt on top of the skin and rub it with my hand. Turn them around again, and a little salt on the inside. And they're ready to go in the oven, 180 degrees or 200 degrees, doesn't really matter at this stage, about 15 to 20 minutes until the potatoes are mostly cooked. So here is my zucchini, and I'll do a very similar job. I'll chop it in half very gently and carefully. And like I did with the potato, I'm going in with a knife, and I'm just removing the middle part by carving it out, and the zucchini is much simpler as it's considerably softer than potato, and it will come out very quickly. Look, just with my finger. And I'll do the other half. If you go twice, by the way, like I'm doing now, you will find that actually it should come out in one go. Yeah, and it comes out very, very easily. I'm happy with mine, but you can always go back in with your knife and remove some more of the inside if you wish, but this is pretty good. I'll put them on one side, but I'll put them in the tray with the potatoes 8 to 10 minutes before the potatoes come out, so in about 7 or 8 minutes. Now going back and chopping my courgette into little pieces, little cubes, as I will be cooking this. And I've done exactly the same with the potato, and I'm now chopping them into smaller and equal size pieces. Olive oil. And they can go in. Mother hob and the extra seasoning, and I will add some rosemary, which I've chopped very finely, and mix it together. The minute has passed, and I'm putting the lid on, and I'll turn the temperature down to medium-low. I'll go to number 4, and I will leave it for a good 10 minutes now. In the meantime, Christmas lights have come on. They are on a timer, but I'm going to show you what I do next with the rest of the ingredients. So these are mushrooms, and they are button mushrooms, little ones, and there is a mixture of very, very little ones and bigger ones. So I will separate them first. I'm leaving the little ones whole as they're perfect size-wise, but the bigger ones, I will just chop them in half. By the way, mushrooms. I clean my mushrooms by very, very quickly putting them under running cold water, one by one. I give them a rub. I do not leave them soaking in water because they will absorb water. I don't want mushrooms to absorb water. And any little bits where I'll show you, there was one actually, I'm sure here. But in certain cases there are some black bits, and then I'll go and, like this one here, I'll remove that and I will dispose of it. There is no real need to peel mushrooms. I don't think you can peel these anyway, but also do not leave them in water for very, very long, otherwise they'll get soggy. So by cutting them in half and leaving the little ones whole, they won't cook at the same time. And the mushrooms are done. This is a combination of chard and spinach from Julie's wonderful garden. I just washed it, and it's been on this draining for the last 5 minutes. And I'm going to give this a little chop. Do not be scared by the size of fresh chard or fresh spinach. It will shrink considerably once it cooks. But also, if you cannot get hold of the fresh stuff, you can also use frozen spinach, perfectly okay as well. as it happens, if I didn't have the fresh stuff, I would have used my frozen spinach from the freezer. So a very gentle and quick chop. I'll go both ways though, so that it's more to start with, and the greens is ready. Okay, I'm happy that my potatoes and courgettes are almost cooked. They do not need to be totally cooked, as they will go back in the oven, and I'll just pour them inside a bowl for the time being. And using the same frying pan, I don't need to add any more oil or anything else. I'll just put my chard and my spinach together, and I'll put them back on the hob, and I will leave them to sizzle and cook for about 5 minutes until they're shrunk. I'm applying a little olive oil on the inside of my zucchini or courgette, as they're nearly ready to go in the oven. So I'm using a brush to make it easy on myself as well. And like I did with the potatoes, I'll sprinkle a little salt as well. And I'll just pop them in next to the potatoes now. And I'm really economizing on the washing up. I'm putting some oil on the same pan now. I've just removed the skin from 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm now peeling a small red onion. And I'm chopping my onion into tiny little pieces. I was going to use a garlic crusher for my garlic, but I'm not going to bother actually. I've got the knife already, and I'm feeling a little bit lazy with the washing up, so I decided to go ahead and do it also with a knife. And by the way, I'm not feeling emotional, it's just the onion making my eyes water. So that's it, I mix them together, and I'll move everything into my pan. And I'll move back to the hob. So the temperature is medium high, and they've been sizzling now for a good minute. So I'll turn them down onto medium, number 5, and I'll leave them for another couple of minutes until the onions have softened up. But also I need to be careful not to burn the garlic, so I'll just keep an eye on it. And they are ready for the mushrooms, so I'll just add them in as they are. I'll turn the temperature up, medium high again, number 7, and I'll mix everything together now. And after 1 minute of being on a higher temperature, I will put the lid on, and I'll turn it down onto medium again, and I'll leave them just to cook like they are for about 5 minutes. So back to my spinach and chard, which has cooled down now, and I can go along and chop with a knife so that it's a little bit finer. And I'll move as it is into a new bowl. Potatoes and the zucchini go in as well. Some pepper. This is grana padano, which is a similar flavor to Parmesan cheese, but also you can use pecorino if you like, quantities to taste, or any other cheese that you wish. I will be adding some cheddar later, so I'm not going to add any cheddar now, but grated cheddar would also be very good, or grated Edam, anything that you can grate in small pieces. But that's enough for now. And let's see what it looks like. Yeah, it's pretty good. Oops, what's this? A leaf. I better take it out. I'm using a fork and squashing the potatoes as much as I can, and I'm mixing everything together. And all I've got to do now is to wait for the mushrooms. The potato and the courgettes are out of the oven cooling down, so nearly there. I did mention cheddar earlier, so I'm getting it ready. So I'm slicing it so that that can go on top of my courgette and potato. So this chunk I've got here will be plenty for both. And let's take another look at the mushrooms. Ooh, good. So they've been cooking now for 5 minutes. I'll turn the temperature up, number 7, medium high, and I will leave them to finish cooking now for another 3 minutes or so. Right, and the mushrooms are also done. If you look, here they are. They look absolutely beautiful. They are good enough to eat as they are. You could actually add some parsley and eat them straight away. They're delicious. I'll just try actually one. They're a little bit crunchy, but they're lovely. I moved along, and I've added some of the bigger ones with my spinach and with my chard, and I'm keeping some for later for garnishing. And my last ingredient is ricotta. I've got a pot here which is 250 grams. I don't think I'll need it all. I'll start with half and see how it goes. Yeah, changed my mind. I think I'll put it all in there. The reason why I changed my mind, by the way, is to avoid having an open ricotta tub in the fridge, and also I will not be using all of this mix tonight. Tomorrow I will be making a pasta with the remaining ricotta and all of the other ingredients. So this is ready. So back to my courgette and the potato, And I'll fill my courgette with my mix, and I'll do the same also with my 2 half potatoes. I'm using my spoon to ensure that everything is nice and smooth. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll top everything up with my cheddar now. Perfect, they are ready to go back in the oven, 180 degrees, 20 minutes. So I'll see you then. And we are ready. Oh, line is hot. And Julia's got absolutely no idea what I've cooked.
No, I know it smells lovely, but I have no idea.
Okay, they're here, they are just out, and as I said, 20 minutes plenty. And you can see that there's a lovely golden color on top, which is perfect.
Lovely.
No,
You nearly lost those. I came over and found those on the worktop. And
no,
thought,
no. These are the little mushrooms I left earlier to garnish the top. So I'm now positioning them on top of my courgette and potato. And again, you don't have to do this, but I think it's nice to look at. And also, because they're not cooked in the oven, they will have a slightly different flavor. And do not forget this lovely onion, which has caramelized, and that can be added on top as well. Anything you find, really.
Oh, so elegantly done, dear.
I know. And earlier I mentioned parsley when I spoke about the mushrooms, and this is parsley which I keep in the freezer. I've previously chopped and is always available. There is a little short, by the way, if you want to see how I do it. So if you just, I'll tell you what, I'll put it on this video. So if you want to see how I do that, you can do it at home as well. But I'll just sprinkle some on top to give a little bit of a fresh flavor. And I'm going to move this onto a dish now. So I'll start with the potatoes as they are easier. And here is my courgette. By the way, I mentioned pasta earlier, and it crossed my mind that you might want to try it. So I will be making it with rigatoni, and if you wanted to do the same, I would strongly suggest you use short pasta, rigatoni ideal, as the pasta and the sauce will get in the middle. And cook the pasta, keep some of the water, and then mix the pasta with the ricotta cheese and the chard and the spinach and everything, and add a little of the cooking water until you get a lovely little cream. You can even put it on the hob for a little bit. Then make sure that everything is mixed together, turn it off, add a little Parmesan cheese, salt and pepper if you like, and eat it. And it's delicious. That is what I'm going to do tomorrow. Julie, did you record? Yes, you did.
I did, yeah.
But let's focus on tasting this now.
Let's.
I'll go for the courgette and see what it's like. It's delicious. The courgette is slightly crunchy, which is lovely, and the filling is wonderful, delicious. I will also try the potato though. It would be rude not to. I will make a confession to you. Potato is an afterthought. I wanted to just do with courgettes, but only had one courgette, so I decided to supplement it with potato, but it might be the best thing I could have done today.
I think you might have been thinking with your big eye, because ultimately I think half of one of those courgettes.
You wait until you try the potato,
Yeah.
Julie.
Oh no, I'm not saying I don't fancy the potato, but probably just half of the piece of courgette.
Honestly, they're both delicious, but I think I'm edging towards the potatoes tonight, funny enough. And you do not. This is a vegetarian dish. You do not have to be a vegetarian to eat this. It's absolutely wonderful. And we will be eating ours with some caponata, which I made yesterday as part of the Christmas little mini series. And we've got not much left.
We haven't got much left now. Just a mouthful for this evening.
As suspected, I tested some earlier. It's much better what it's called. So if you want to see the recipe for the caponata, I'll put a link up here so you can see that as well. Enjoy if you make it. It's beautiful, it's healthy, and it's delicious. Arrivederci and ciao. Bye bye.